What is going on? I want to welcome you from F-Court for today, October 17th, aka one day away from NBA opening day. Jeff, Iafrady, Sean Murphy here to break it all down. Jeff, it is so close to the beginning of the NBA season. There are so many storylines that we are going to be diving into over the course of this week, over the course of the next couple of weeks. So you're going to be wanting to click that subscribe button. But Jeff, I'm really excited in particular to see Jaden Ivey's rookie season. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited after what I saw from this rookie season. I even wrote an article about it. But
Go check it
first,
out.
Jeff, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm itching. To get to the season. I know we'll be at opening day. We'll be down there with the entire Woolworth Pistons crew. So if you're going, come say hi to us. We'll be down there.
Come
I'm
say what
excited.
up, man.
Come say what up. We'll be down there. We'll be giving our analysis in person, and we'll be making content after the game covering it. So hey, I'm excited. This is where the work's already been started, Sean, but this is where it really amps up. So I can't wait.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. The work's definitely going to begin definitely before the game. Come say hi, 100%. During the game, we're going to be locked the heck in. Don't be looking at. We might be hollering and hooting. There might be some points where we'd be like, that could definitely happen. But first, let's put on the analyst mind. Let's put on the analyst brain. Exactly.
Yep.
Jeff, let's talk about Jaden Ivey and his potential that he has this upcoming rookie season. In my opinion, obviously, if you look at the statistics, it's 12.5 points, 35% from the field, high attempts, low efficiency, a lot of things that you would expect from a young rookie guard. However, it's not about what you see on the stat sheet. It's about the flashes that you see on the court. It's about what those things tell you. And, Jeff, if you look at his overall box sheets and his box scores, there were games where, that first New York game, I think, in my opinion, was the pinnacle of what Jaden Ivey can be in this league, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Especially on the offensive side of the ball. High efficiency, getting to the basket, drawing fouls, getting assists, and not turning the ball over. That's exactly what you want alongside Cade Cunningham, is it not?
No, it is. And I think the biggest part about his performance in the first game is the stage he was on too. Like we talked about this in the preseason game. Like you're in New York, you're at Madison Square Garden, you're facing the Knicks, and he plays as well as he did. And again, his preseason stats are pretty much what we expected. Like there's going to be ups and downs. He might have low efficiency numbers, but there's two things he's working against. One of them is learning how to play with Cade. I'm glad they got reps in the preseason, but that's going to be a real struggle for both of them because Cade last year, majority, I mean, if you want to include Jeremy in there, but he had the ball. He's bringing it up the court, him and Killian Hayes. It wasn't too many guys. Now you have Jaden Ivey who's going to, enter that role. Cade's going to be playing a lot of off ball. So there's a lot of adjusting that needs to happen, not only from Jaden, but from Cade. But for Jaden, man, I mean, the turnovers you saw after that Knicks game, that's going to happen. I mean, I'm not going to be shocked, but I think this year he does have an opportunity to go and challenge that rookie of the year, especially because Chet's out for the season. And that was the guy we talked about, one of your guys that we talked about that really, if you want to talk about who's in the race, it's Paolo to me. It'd be Paolo, Chet, and Jaden Ivey, and Keegan Murray as well. And Keegan, obviously a team that's going to win some games. Jaden has an opportunity this year to go win that award. But again, you're going to see those ups and downs. You're going to see games like he did against New York, and then you're going to see games like he had against the Pelicans, where also he brought it defensively. And that's something we talked about. Like he may not shoot efficient, but what I love about Jaden is he's always going. And whether it's the rookie energy of him just, excited to be in the league, he doesn't give up on plays. And that's something that I think fits the mold of Detroit. Like the guy's going to give you his all, no matter if it's shots are falling or not. So you can at least respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Two dark horses I give you for rookie of the year, by the way, Benedict Mathurin. He just went out and scored 27 points the other night in preseason. By the way, Troy, our guy Troy, who's on the podcast, he went and saw that for $4 a ticket, no fee, which is crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
And he saw the Rockets too. He saw a bunch of rookies.
Yeah. I mean, the life of being a Pacers fan, you could just, that's just his. That's just his benefit of living in Indiana. He's not a Pacers fan. He just goes and watch
a byproduct
cheap NBA basketball. It's the best.
Right.
But anyway, Jeff, there's other things that I really like about Jaden Ivey's game, but another thing as well, the importance of the relationship that he's going to have with Cade Cunningham is ultimately going to be what's going to dictate his future with the Detroit Pistons, because Cade Cunningham's a franchise player. There's no mistaking that. Right. And Jaden Ivey says he wants to be a Piston for life. And I think the Pistons would certainly love to have Jaden Ivey for life if he is a part of that winning formula, right? And what's going to dictate that is his relationship with Cade. And in an article chronicling, a new dawn of Detroit basketball by Miriam Fader of the Ringer, she is a staff writer of their NBA coverage. She was chronicling the Pistons, and in her first paragraph, it says Jaden Ivey takes a deep breath at the free throw line before gathering himself. The Pistons rookie drains 2 in a row as Cade Cunningham, Detroit's franchise point guard, rebounds the ball. They do this for each other after every practice. When you find one of them, you can usually find the other. They live together, they eat together, and they often shoot free throws as they are on this late September afternoon. So they are borderline inseparable at the practice facility. That type of bond, that type of relationship, Jeff, this team has been built. Traditionally, the Detroit Pistons have been built on great backcourts. And it looks like we could be potentially in store for the modern version of Joe Dumars and Isaiah if this all goes right.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say that, like, look at the relationship they're trying to build. You could bring up a lot of great backcourts in the NBA, not even just Detroit. Like, if you look at Steph and Clay, every backcourt, for them to be successful, you got to have that relationship that Jaden and Cade are trying to have. And you brought up Isaiah and Joe, great example, Chauncey and Rip. Like, any backcourt, at least historically in our franchise, not only have they been great players, they've had great relationships as well. And that makes me great. And even check the stats. Side note, by the way, check Jaden Ivey's free throw percentage throughout preseason. He's been money. So obviously that's working as well. But you got to love that. For this team, and wherever we talk about where this team could go in the future, for this team to ultimately reach where we think they can be, which is making deep postseason runs, it's based on those two guys. Yes, Saddiq and Isaiah Stewart are important, but those are your franchise players. So to hear them spending time with each other as much as they are, it means they get it. And that's probably the most positive sign from a Pistons fan. It's like, hey, these guys get it, as much as the next guy. So relationship's important. The chemistry is going to be important, especially because they're going to be rotating, who's bringing up the ball, who's off ball, who's on ball. And for their relationship to kind of know where someone's going to be before they're there, knowing their teammates' tendencies, it's only going to positively affect the Pistons going forward.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think primarily where Jaden Ivey's impact is going to ultimately be felt, beyond, obviously we're going to talk about his offensive game and go more in detail of what makes him special there in just a second. But Jeff, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that he's taking it seriously on the defensive end, on his, in an interview on, with, James Edwards III of The Athletic the night of the draft. He said, I was challenged by Troy Weaver and Dwayne Casey to be great on the defensive end. I want to be great. I want to take that challenge. Part of the restoration starts with what takes place on the defensive end. And we saw Jaden Ivey take that seriously this preseason. Obviously, there were times where he got beat. There were times where he made mistakes. His instincts are going to have to improve, but that's a lot of young players in this league. Right. But what impressed me in particular was those moments when he showed those flashes, when he went up with extension, got the block against the Thunder, and then went down, didn't get the foul, and then forced a jump ball, and then ripped away. It was like, give me that.
Hey, look who's next to him, too. That's what you want
to see right there.
Look who's next to him, too, Cade Cunningham.
Exactly. They live together. They eat together. They go up, and they take that together. That's exactly what you want to see out of your backcourt. And that, in my opinion, is going to be the X factor of their chemistry, is how great can this team be defensively if those two embrace it. Because we look at, everyone's looking at that Cleveland Cavaliers team and terrified of what they have built. But Jeff, if this team develops into what we think they can be, I think the Pistons' size and their ability to play a more positionless form of what Cleveland is trying to form is going to put them at a significant advantage and is something that's going to be really dangerous and is a weapon for them going forward.
Yeah, and it's a big reason why a team like Atlanta went out and traded for DeJounte Murray. Like, some guys, you have franchise players that you have to hide. Like, that's the reality of it. And with the Pistons, they have two guys that are going to start in their backcourt that in the future, you're not going to have to hide. Like, those guys can switch positions. And even Cade, I was watching some film early in the preseason, specifically against the Pelicans. And I get this is an issue at some point, switching everything. You're giving up points in the paint. but Cade was guarding Valanciunas in the paint, not backing down. He made Valanciunas pass the ball out a couple times. Like he wasn't taking it. And that's a positive sign because we could bring up all the success Detroit's had with their backcourts. They've also had success playing defense, number one. And that's what this team, the mold is fitting. I mean, you have multiple guys, a bunch of versatile players, Isaiah Stewart, Saddiq, Livers, you can go on. And that's the mold they're trying to do. And that's really the future of the NBA. Like it's positionless basketball. And I think Troy knows that as well as anybody. And for Jaden Ivey coming out of college, not, looked at as one of a very, very good defender, not really acknowledged as that, but he has the qualities to do it. 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, like Troy knows as well as anybody. Playing defense is a mentality. And if Jaden can convince himself of that, which we've seen so far, he's going to be a problem. Because now you can really, if you can have fun with it, like you could say, all right, Jaden, you can guard the opposing team's best guard if you have that much confidence in him in the future. And that's going to alleviate so much pressure off Cade because now you don't have those as much, at least, defensive responsibilities, knowing you have a guy like Jaden Ivey who can stay with the best of them. So it's great for the Pistons. It doesn't really, I mean, like I said, a lot of teams, they do have holes, especially in their backcourt. The Pistons, to me, they don't have it, at least defensively. And I think eventually they're going to get better and better and better because not only Jaden Ivey, yeah, he has the physical tools, he also has the basketball IQ because some of those steals I saw straight out outplaying some of these opposing guards. So again, it's basketball IQ, and in Detroit to play defense, that's where the championships are made, baby.
And we don't talk enough about the unbelievable advantage he has of, and Dwayne Casey spoke about this earlier, where he comes to the facility, gets coaching from this staff,
yeah,
and then he goes home, and then he gets coached by his mom, who is just so happens to be one of the best coaches in the country. And Dwayne Casey himself said could potentially be a head coach in the NBA if she so chose to be one day. Someone that John Morant credited, with being a significant part of his development, someone who was a respected part of that Memphis Grizzlies staff and was someone that was at that night, obviously as a mom, but also as someone that has a significant relationship with both sides of that court. And, I know a lot of people are looking at that Jaden Ivey, John Morant, comparison, and everyone saw, John Morant and Jaden Ivey. They're not in the same stratosphere right now. As good as Jaden Ivey can be this year, John Morant, he's in the stratosphere of Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
That's where he is.
Yeah.
He's in Allen Iverson, Derrick Rose prime. That's the conversation he's in. Jaden Ivey right now, I know a lot of people give him the comp of John Morant, Russell Westbrook, Dwayne Wade. I think Jaden Ivey just needs to be Jaden Ivey.
Bingo. That's what it is. And that's why I don't like the comparisons, because even if you project Jaden Ivey in his prime and John Morant's in his prime, so if we just call it like it is, they're going to be different players to me. Like I don't, John Morant's a walking 30 and 12 guy. Like the guy can get you 12 assists, you score 30, not the best shooter, similar qualities you can say in Jaden. The athleticism obviously is very similar, but they're different players. Like I think Jaden Ivey, you said it best, and we talked about this before on one of our previous podcasts. It's like Jaden Ivey is going to be Jaden Ivey. Like there's not really, I know people talked about Victor Oladipo, Dwayne Wade before the draft. I think he's very unique because he brings this combination of speed and size, and that's something you don't really see often. You could bring up Dwayne in that aspect where he's like 6'4", has the athleticism, but even then, I mean, I just think they're different players because it is a different NBA now. Like he's going to be asked to do different things. So I'm excited to see what Jaden Ivey turns into in his prime. I think he can have that impact like Ja, but they're just different players to me. I think you said it best.
I think offensively, Jaden Ivey's biggest asset is ability to both, to change his speed, to both accelerate and decelerate in the open court. If he can learn to not, I know a lot of complaints about his game that I've heard and I've talked to people about, is sometimes Jaden Ivey could just be running in a straight line. And I think a lot of times when you're a young player, you're just used to being able to just run through people, go straight to the basket because you're the best athlete on the court. Jaden Ivey is going to be the best athlete is going to be the fastest guy on the court a lot of times. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the best athlete. Being an athlete is more than just speed. Mm-hmm. And so being the best athlete at this point of the game is also going to be about the mentality. And this is kind of where I want to talk about, like, where I think his opportunities for growth are. And it's taking care of the basketball. And I know, Jeff, a lot of times when we're talking about taking care of the ball, we look at turnovers. And turnovers are absolutely, were absolutely a thing. One game he had no turnovers, one game he had 7, right? However, I think the other part of taking care of the ball is shot selection, knowing what to shoot, what not to shoot, which shots to take, which shots to pass up on, right? And I think at times when Jaden Ivey was, in a little bit of a slump, obviously what do scorers want to do? They want to score the basketball. He's trying to create opportunities, right? Sometimes they're not the greatest look. Jaden Ivey went 14% from beyond the arc this preseason. Obviously, it was more 18%, my apologies, but still not great. A lot of that because of my opinion, he was taking a lot of pull-up threes, a lot of forced opportunities. If Jaden Ivey takes more catch and shoot threes, which he can in the flow of this offense with Cade Cunningham, Saddiq Bey, a lot of the people within this offense that can create for other people,
Right.
then he's going to be more efficient. He's going to be a better player. But I think that is like one aspect of Russell Westbrook's game where I think he's going to have to like shake a little bit is that shot selection, because that's in my opinion, we talk a lot about taking care of the basketball and not turning it over, but also taking care of the basketball is more than just turnovers. It's about your shot selection too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you hit it right on the head. I think for Jaden Ivey, and again, being in the NBA doesn't always mean, and you talk about the athleticism, and you hit it. For Jaden, he's at Purdue. He's really the fastest player on the court at all times. He can get any shot he wants. In the NBA, you look at guys like Luka, Cade, you can bring up a ton of them that may not be the most athletic, but IQ-wise can get pretty much any shot they want on the floor. And now Cade was a little passive in preseason, but we kind of have to go back to last year to see really that true, even the month of March, Cade was cooking, but it wasn't always being the most athletic player on the court. So I think that's the part of Jaden Ivey's game he has to get used to is, yes, you are the fastest player. You may be the most athletic player, but it's also scaling back and being a little more disciplined with his speed, because we know he can go 100 miles per hour. But what separates, at least I think, Jaden Ivey and Russell Westbrook is Russell never had that discipline. I think Jaden Ivey can have that discipline and slow things down, because you're right. He's rushing a lot of these shots and they're terrible. It's terrible shot selection. But if he can at least be more disciplined, things are going to open up. And I'm sure they're watching film. Like, this is part of being a rookie, guys, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's a lot of trial and error. Like, this didn't work. These
are the exact problems we knew that he would have coming in.
Right.
And also, these are the exact problems that you would expect for a player to have in preseason, because these are the times to take those shots and learn, these suck. Let's not do that.
You'd rather do it now.
Regular season.
Right.
Exactly. Because these games didn't count. And so this is an opportunity to evaluate players, let them go out, make mistakes, and then they have film. They have opportunities to practice, work on it, develop. And that's exactly what Dwayne Casey's going to do. That's exactly what the opportunity is for him this upcoming season. And that's the difference between him and Russell Westbrook is Jaden Ivey is coachable. And in my opinion, has access to the best coaching perhaps in the entire league from all around, from his role models, from the people that he has in his circle, from the people just within the organization, John Beilein, Dwayne Casey, just to name 2 player development people. We're not even touching on the overall player development staff that they've established. But then what he has at home, the role models he has in John Moran, like this guy, he it's talked about all the time about he's just a magnet. He's always asking questions, always seeking to get better. If he keeps that mentality, and if he focuses that on both sides of the court, this guy's going to be a star.
And I think one big thing too is a part of adjusting to the NBA as a rookie is teams are now the game planning. If you take it back to Purdue, when teams, it's different when college teams are game planning for you at Purdue, and NBA teams game planning for you. It's much more detailed. Like, teams are going to know every single tendency that Jaden Ivey has. And that's a part of adjusting in the NBA, learning how to be less predictable. Like, if they know Jaden Ivey is going to do X, Y, and Z every single time they face him, that's it. With Cade Cunningham, I think there's a little bit of that. It's hard to guess because he's such a great playmaker. He can get to his spots. He can take it. He can get a bucket on his own. He can set up somebody else. That's what makes him so great. And I think Jaden Ivey will get there.
He's versatile on both
exactly. And that's what Jaden Ivey has to get to. Like, just understand that you're not going to get the shots you got last game the next game. Like you saw against New York, he had the pull-up 3. Oh, you're feeling good. The following game, they're taking that away from you. Like, you can't settle into those shots again. So it's part of being a rookie. I'm not too concerned, but I know at the end of the year, I at least think it'll be like Cade. You'll struggle early in the season, and I think he'll start picking up towards March
Right.
is where you'll see him really, really start to get more comfortable.
Right. And again, these aren't criticism. This is just evaluation. This is just talking basketball, talking shop. He knows exactly what he needs to do, how to get better, and he's going to have the people in his corner that are going to help him do so.
All the
But with
resources.
that, yeah, exactly. But with that, what do you think of Jaden Ivey? What were your thoughts of his performance this preseason? And do you think he has the potential to be rookie of the year this season? Let us know in the comment section down below. But of that, of course, is going to wrap it up, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure you're tuned in because this week we're going to have a lot of fire content coming out. Just to name a couple things, we're going to be talking tomorrow about the Ringer article of the best NBA young cores. And where did the Pistons end up? Find out tomorrow. Don't go and read the article and spoil it, but also go read the article because it's really good work. Or maybe just stop reading it before the part where you see the Pistons and don't spoil that for yourself so you can go watch video. But anyway, that's going to do it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to catch you guys next time from Half Court. Be sure you subscribe.